Thank you so much, El Patron, to accept, our invitation into this conversation. My name is Peter Kovac, and I'm the co-founder of Global Startup Awards. And finally, I have a good excuse to have this conversation with you, actually, because we've known each other for quite a few years, and what you guys do with Startup Wise guys is really outstanding and amazing. And this year, finally, the Baltics will join Central European Startup Awards. So these three countries, Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, will be part of this region in Global Startup Awards, and I wanted to use this excuse to have an informal chat with you, because again, I've been following your activities, and what you've been doing, guys, is just amazing. So I would just like to also share this with the audience, just for them to have some more information about you. So maybe if you could start with an introduction about first yourself, and maybe after that, Startup Wise guys. So please go for it.
So as you said before, it's a great excuse because I think you and me have had several conversations. We feel Central Eastern Europeans in many ways. And I think we, as wise guys, we also not only Baltic, but we feel that's the region where we have been operating. We have always called ourselves part of the CE. So I'm glad that we're part of the ecosystem and the awards per se, but also to try to influence with our portfolio, ourselves as much as possible, and bring, it's only 6 million people, but it's probably more than 1,200 startups in the region, right? So probably in density, I think we are almost as dense as Israel can be in terms of population and startups. So yeah, my name is Cristobal Alonso. That's actually my anglicized name. So my name is Cristobal Alonso Martin, but it's easy to make it easier. I was born in Spain many years ago, probably almost as many as you, Peter. So we're kind of all folks in this young startup ecosystem, but it feels good to contribute with experience and also with the energy. I'm being a mix between a serial entrepreneur and global executive. So I'm being in 2 or 3 large telcos as a chief transformational officer, chief technology officer, head of planning and strategy. So that's always been very useful to understand also the other side. That was the dark side, let's call it, as the startup side to call it. And then I've been a serial entrepreneur. I launched my first product startup in 2006 in Spain, but mostly selling to Central Eastern Europe. We have about 10 clients between Balkans, Turkey, South Africa, raised Series A, 3 million euros, bankrupted, liquidated. So the whole part. I think that's actually the experience that I started sharing in 2010 when I got to the Baltics, and I was part of a telco, but I was really part of a nascent ecosystem, right? And I could, in a way, smile saying that I have failed, learn a lot, and bring that to the table. And also that was kind of the initial birth of accelerators in the region. So Startup Yard, Startup Highway in Lithuania, Startup Wise guys in Estonia. So it was kind of the first wave of, I would say, of entrepreneurship in the region. And then because of Highway, I was helping a lot of startups. I'm in the board for almost 10 years now, Selfie, which is there right now doing 70K MRR and growing, and almost actually maybe found finally the magic formula after 10 years. And then one of them was More Free, also a startup that was operating for Lithuania and Africa. I was the chairman there, became the CEO with the interim CEO when the CEO went pregnant on maternity leave, and kind of stayed there for 2-3 years. Amazing co-founders. Great story until the new president of Nigeria decided that the dollar was not to be exchanged anymore for Naira. And suddenly I had to raise money in Africa and in Lithuania, which I said, I'm not going to happen. So, and that's actually when I've been working a lot with wise guys, with Caron, with Ferti, with Rivo, and they told me, hey, we want to take this really global. So we've been always an international-minded accelerator, but we wanted to really take it global. I talked to Gita, to people that basically wanted to join that venture at that point. We co-founded, again, let's say from wise guys in a new vehicle, etc. And we take it from a small boutique, great accelerator in Estonia to today having invested close to 200 companies. This year is actually, despite what's happening, we're going to make our 2020 20th accelerator 200 investments. So it's a lot of tools there, and I think it's proud to be there. And we have just started the journey. Right? So I think the wise guys, specifically our power wise girls, more than 70% of the team is female. We feel that we have a very large vision and purpose to go to 2030. And our ambition is to be a top 3 brand in the world. I think we're probably top 10 right now, but we want to go top 3 in the world. We want to invest in more than 600 startups in the next 5 years, and having more and more impact and sustainability in what we do and what we invest. And I think we haven't seen anything yet in the region. I think we have just seen the first glimpse of talent, maturity. Our first, second-time founders are really coming out. So I think most of the cities European countries still don't have the unicorns. One in Romania, 3 or 4 in Estonia, 1 in Lithuania. So we're talking about still kind of almost outliers. And I think easily going to see 20, 30, 40 coming up, and many centauros, which is what we like, is the companies 100 million, sustainable, capable to go break even if needed, putting talent, resources, and I'm sure get 100 of those coming up with hard work, but with a lot of things coming on.
Yeah, it's an incredible story already. And maybe could you mention a few, a few of your portfolio companies that I think it's not a good question to ask in a way that the ones that you're the most proud of, because I'm sure that you're proud of all of them, but the ones that are probably the most recognized already out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the B2B challenge is always this, that no matter what you say, unless you're really, really deep, you don't even know them, right? But just to give you a bit of a variety of companies that we really like, invested the last 4 years. We have great examples. The Steak Guru is right now doing a 28 million valuation campaign in Cedars. Rebel Rum, well known, a couple of exits, Littlefield, Step Shot.
We are freezing a little bit.
Ukrainian. So, but those are basically on the first. We have session stacking. So
now you're back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, technology.
Yeah. So we have right now, for example, just to give you examples, and also a bit of a geographical variety, let's call it this way. We have Session Stack in Bulgaria, doing close to 30K MRR, 2 amazing founders. I don't know when they're going to do Series A. I don't care, because I think they will get there. They had the right mentality. People a couple of times almost exit ones, but really found a much better drive for what they're doing right now on customer super automation, customer experience automation. Soten Analytics, a company working on basically helping the heavy manufacturing operators, people, to have the right posture while working, so avoiding injuries in mine manufacturing, airports, an Australian and a Russian co-founders, growing really well, also very close to 50K MRR. I think they will do Series A probably next year. They actually break even if they don't need to, so I think they're going to wait for the right time. Factory, laser cutting, sharing economy, so helping small manufacturers that don't own machinery to take capacity for bigger, inactive, large players. Very active between the UK, Estonia corridor, but also using Nordics. 3 guys for 2 years old. They've done right now about close to 10 million val in the last round. Very heavy investors, amazing team, so much energy. So just a matter of time, but in a way, affected positive and negative in COVID. So I think, but more and more they're actually finding the good things, and it's sharing economy, manufacturing. We really like the space. Sinos, there's been in 500 startups in Latvia, doing really, really well, kind of putting a very deep tech use of design technology and antenna manufacturing software using open source. And just giving you the last one, very much right now, City, operating in Lithuania, operating in the Baltics and Paris, working in kind of delivery, last mile, helping restaurants, phone companies, pharmacies to do delivery in less than 1 hour when they don't have their own fleet to do it. Has gone from 0 to 70K MRR in 14 months. So skyrocketing, amazing team, a couple of actually brothers. So we always say that we have invested sometimes in brothers, in partners, life partners, becoming businesses. it's importer, father and kid, American, and the kid living in Ukraine. Also 50K MRR, probably going to be 100K MRR by the end of the year. Using with analytics, helping fast-moving consumer goods companies using analytics to understand what to put on the shops. Very important today when you cannot put in the shops much because the demand is unpredictable. So they're actually being helping there. So the example there, as you said, you're not most proud. I think those are very good cases and very different cases, and all of them in very different verticals. And also we have a lot of basically right now fintechs and cybersecurity companies from Turkey, from Ukraine coming over. So we're really, really happy to do this one. We have an amazing, actually, Hungarian team called Cursor Insight right now. We're very active in fintech, and then now they're launching a new cybersecurity product, which is the one we're helping with. So also I'm very kind of mature founders, but really thinking that we could help them in the cybersecurity focus. So I think that's a very good thing to watch out. So I think almost we have right now, as we have teams from 40 countries, but in the Central Eastern European, if we include Ukraine and Turkey as part of the mix, we have right now teams everywhere, and that's what we specialize in. And soon open in Italy, which will be, I think, our next frontier. Let's say we coming together, putting together the strategy that was bringing non-EU into the sea and Baltics through the Baltics as the hub. And now we want to leverage the Balkans that want to enter Europe, also do it in Italy, plus companies that might see the Italian market as a very interesting, but at the same time very difficult, like every other big European country because of language situation. And the Italian ecosystem, which I would say out of the larger European countries, is the most underdeveloped, but the talent is there, right? So we're trying to kind of put another ecosystem player that can help the ecosystem. And now, in a way, it feels that we're rebuilding Italy altogether because after what has happened. So it feels really good to go now, right now, into the market, despite people say, oh my God, in the middle of the crisis. I think that's the perfect time to enter the market and help.
Yeah. And how does it feel like living in the windy north, coming from the sunny Spain? I know you have been living around, of course, for a while, but how can you adapt to that?
Well, I always say that it's an unfair statement because I traveled until 2.5 months ago. I travel so much that I get to see the sun every second day on the sky, right? So when I get depressed, I take a plane and I see it, right? So that is an unfair advantage. So see that I live there. And I always say to people, I think the biggest challenge is not the temperature, is the light. I think that's where you really feel an influence, both summer and winter. But I'm flying a lot, so I think if I will be all the time without moving, I will probably suffer more, and I will be that smiley. But I don't know. People give me so much energy and so much light that I think it compensates everything. And actually, I think it's a great place to live. Its quality of life is very high. Nature is great. Logistics, very, very, very well connected airports. 10 minutes away from the center. They have a lot of the advantages of a smaller place with a closer to nature and an incredible, vibrant local regional community. Right? So you feel, actually, I wouldn't call it home because to me, it's I like this sunset. Home is where your friends are. I have a lot of friends in the region. I go a lot to Spain still. I have connections there. I spend time there with the family. So that's good. I have the best of both worlds, if that's possible to say, as long as I'm willing to fly 150, 160 times, which I do if needed, right? So, but COVID is interesting. It's also making me think how much of the flying that I'm doing I can probably replace or do differently. So it's been a good reflecting time to understand. But one thing I think is, I will not replace the flights that are there to see my people, my different employees, to get closer to our portfolio and status in our batches. I think that's something that you miss so much. And the human element is irreplaceable physically with the online world. Right?
What do you usually travel for? I mean, is it mostly like potential partners to push your portfolio forward, or discovering new startups, or both, or even other things I haven't mentioned?
Yeah, I think there is let's say, I would say it's that 1/4 you want to kind of put it in a formula. So 1/4 is family. So Spain, Denmark, Latvia, that was 1/4 basically of my traveling, or Baltics. I think 1/3 is actually is batches. So I kind of commit to spend about 12 days per batch. So we run at least 4 batches a year. So that's 48, 50 flights already, or 50 stays. I always say that the moment we grow as big that I don't remember the name of each startup and each founder, that we have gone too big, right? So that's kind of our element. That might be also be that too old to start remembering. But yeah, I really like to spend at least 10 to 12 days. It's a good balance to get to know the people. I would say the other half, 1/3, is VCs, partners, LPs also, because we are raising funds constantly, and ecosystem delivery. So I spend specifically in Ukraine and Turkey. I spend a lot of time. Those are 2 of our emerging markets that I really like. I help the ecosystems in different needs. And Balkans and Italy is being where I have spent also quite a bit of time. So, but of course, when you go there, you do everything, right? You scout, talk to partners. But I think that's a good 1/3 of the mix. Last year was mostly Turkey. So I spent a lot of that extra time. This year, I would say it would be a combination of Italy and potentially our next new base. But yeah, that's always how I divide the time.
Yeah, and even your Instagram profile was recently, or like maybe not recently, but renamed to something connected to traveling and flying.
Yeah,
right?
The startup traveler.
Yes, that's it.
Also, I'm not a huge Instagrammer, let's call it this way, especially compare with my book co-author Stoyan, who's constantly there. So I just basically post pictures of my flights as a way to keep track of it and also get some nice pictures with different pictures. So yeah, that's the startup traveler. Yeah, and the last 4 years, it was an average between 160 and 170 flights. Hopefully, I compensated the footprint with trees. But apart from that element, I think it's been, people say it's crazy. To me, it works really well. It's more of a balance with the family, kids, colleagues, that you are also, when you're there, you're present. But I think you ended up valuing the time with people more than when you don't travel at all. So you just have to be. I choose. If I was forced to do this, I think would be different. I have chosen to do this, so that means that I like it, and actually I like it a lot. So and I had the freedom to choose where when to be. And I think that's as you get older, I think that's something that that you have that capacity to do it is priceless.
Yeah, I agree. And how can you replace physical travel these days because of the virus situation? What could you replace fully by calls, or how can you manage that?
I think we've done our best. I think we've done a great job, and I think the team is doing an amazing job, both internally among us and externally. So we done even cooking shows at night, in which we invited the mentors. I sent some recipes in advance. We were cooking them at the same time and chatting about it and talking about wine. So we done from the very basic ones to very creative ones, to try to keep the vibe, etc., which I think we have done a good job. But for example, just to give an example, in the batches, we tend to say that we're running now fully online, the 2 batches at the same time. Is that the wise guys to the startups? I think we're down on almost 80%, 90% as good as physical. And I think some things are actually even better taught online in terms of attention. Not enough engagement, but it's attention. But the peer-to-peer in the startups is almost lost. Right? Like the startups learn of each other when they're together. That doesn't happen when you see other people on the screen. Yeah, you still do peer-to-peers, you still try to match them, etc. But nothing compares with spending 3 months talking, having a beer, discussing problems, pressure, etc. So I think that's very difficult to replace. I think you can, if this was a 12-month situation, I will tell you that we are doomed as a society, because I think a lot of things you can just not maintain. I have seen a lot of psychological, let's call it damage, into a lot of people already might start feeling it, the loneliness. So I think for 3-4 weeks was fine. When we get to 8 weeks, I can start feeling the psychological effect on people. And this will last 6 months. I think a lot of people will really, really, really go into depression. But I think as a short term, I think it can be not replaced, but it can be covered. The rhythm can be maintained, sometimes even accelerated. There is a lot of learnings of things that we can't really replace. So even the way we run programs, we'll add a lot of things that we have learned online in the past 2.5 months. But there is an element of being together physically that is not replaceable. I think the other big advantage is that it has, for many people who fear going online, corporates on the sales side, governments, or a number of things, education and teachers. I think this is a tipping point that has forced them online and realize, wow, it's not that difficult. But if, for example, we'll be able to do maybe 60% of sales processes online without traveling, as long as you know the people physically at least once or two, big deals will still happen when people go for dinner and really chat about and they get a personal connection. But I think a lot of the sales process can be done online, and that in the past was not the case. So I think there will be definitely some changes to stay, but there is certain things that can never be. Hopefully, I don't want to be replaced by a Zoom call. I want to have people,
of course,
enjoy time with people, right? So that's not to be replaced, right? But to me, the scariest part is I start seeing how this is affecting people psychologically. And how do we need to be close soon enough to start hugging each other and taking care of each other? Hopefully this, at least for us, is not more than 1 month away, 1.5 months away to get some of the startups together. I make the joke, I feel like Tinder for startups these days. I like them, I don't like them, I like them, I don't like them, I support them, but I don't feel that I'm making the human connection that I call them the family, right? As we are in Wise Guys. So we need to go physical to create that link, that human link of familiarity.
But if I got you right, you are not slowing down, and you are keep on searching for the new startups, and you keep on accelerating them and onboarding them. And
we've done a lot of investments. We've done 2 batches, so 19 investments. I think 19 investments. 8 co-investments follow-ups with our portfolio in the last 3 months, so we have not slowed down. I think what is true is that our plan for expansion maybe got delayed by 1 quarter, but also because we need to have our fund third closing, and some of the Ps have kind of put some plans on a standby. But if I look at it where we're going to be 12 months from now, I think we're going to be even bigger than we planned, just because of some of the seeds that we're planting today. So no. Like, our only limit is based with the funding that we need to have available, and it just might take a bit longer. But we're not going to slow down at all.
Okay, and what you think? I mean, you pretty much already talked about it, but I'm just curious if you can really formulate it in 1 or 2 sentences. What is your superpower? What makes you different? What makes you special, if I may ask?
Yeah. I'm going to go very much by the book here. So I'm writing a book about it, so that's good to talk about it. The thing is, first, we have a clear purpose, right? So it hasn't changed in 8 years, which is basically to help entrepreneurs become founders and develop great international tech companies. Sounds very simple, but that's a huge driver. It's never about ROI, being the biggest VC fund. It was about helping founders and being there. The second one is that we are very values driven, and I think it feels, when you operate with a clear purpose, an ambitious vision, and driven by core values, so long-term focus, ambitions and passionate, developing ecosystems and founders driven, and you hire the right people. I think that's amazing. And I think from the product point of view, I would say it's 2-3 things. One is our international mindset, which I think is combined with ambition. But I think it's a program that, being, I think, one of the best programs, if not the best program in Europe, has always improved. So I don't think any program is the same. We always take feedback. So we started online 24 months ago when nobody was online. That's why we got prepared with a pre-accelerator, and now we're learning, right? We're now putting in sprints. We added a technical part. We kind of focus more and more on not only making IT people, technology-driven people, salespeople, but also changing the founder's mindset, right? I think the program has continued evolving and will continue evolving. Now we're thinking about the next generation combining online and physical going forward. And then is the way we take care of the portfolio. Most accelerators, you invest and then it's too many to worry. If somebody calls you, you take care of them, right? We have 180 companies in the portfolio, 144 active. We talk to them every quarter. We talk to the ones that just graduated every month. We have forums constantly. We meet once a year in the getaway all together. So I think it's our aftercare and intensity that at the same time creates opportunities. Hey, this guy is looking for funding. I can connect with this investor. They're looking for a partnership. This guy got to Germany. Oh, those that have been in Germany. So I think is the scale of that, if you use it a lot, is creating a big difference. And I think scale matters, right? So the brand and the size of the alumni network. We're going to be, if we are not, but we're going to be for sure the largest alumni network in terms of entrepreneurship in Europe. That has a humongous power over time that we haven't even, I think, we're scratching the surface of the power of that. Right? So I think that's part of the magic. And then the team.
Yeah.
The team is amazing.
I couldn't hear you. Okay, I can hear you again. Sorry, I just didn't hear you for like.
No. I see the team is amazing. Every single person, the team is. The individuals, as I tell you, 70% female, makes us probably the most female-dominated team in the tech industry, on the tech investment industry. 8 nationalities, so it's very similar to what we invest. So I think it comes with that. Always challenging each other, a combination from the 40 plus to the 20 plus. So it's a very good representation of our portfolio and our own company, and very driven and complementary skills.
Okay. And why color red, if I may ask?
Boy, this is like everything in life, right? So you make one choice that probably is more random, and then you create a story, right? So I think basically the story of the wise guys, the wise guys, remember in the Goodfellas movie, were the ones you call when you have problems, right? At the end, right? Yeah. So that's what the wise guys came. So then that was the association with the mafia. Then they put the mafia and they said it looks good in red and white, right? So I think that was actually the initial. But then what it was clear when we even bought time thinking about rebranding or refreshing the brand was that, our core values are passion and energy. So one of the 4 core values is passion and energy, right? Or passion and ambition. And that was really, really in red, right? So I think red saw all the passion, all the energy that you saw makes a huge difference. And that's what we remember in the briefing about refreshing the brand is you can change anything you want, but red. That's the only thing that you are able to be able to change. Right?
Yeah, okay.
So we have invested in too much clothing and merchandise to change it. But I think now we have the red mafia, the red guys all around. And like I said, even visually in conferences, you have 4 or 5 of us with the hoodies or with the red jackets. And it really stands out when everybody is wearing dark and blue, especially in the winter, right? So it's also a very distinctive color on the gatherings, and we actually very red when we go around.
But you generally speaking dress very colorfully, as I realize myself.
It's good in Eastern Europe. To tell you the truth, I 2004 and 5, I was working in a company in the Czech Republic. It was called Oscar with K. And we have a very kind of interesting CEO, a Canadian lady called Carla Stephens. Carla has a lot of good amount of things like every leader, but she was really, really strong about making an internal brand and really emphasized how leaving the brand internally, even without doing any PR outside, will create a powerful image to the outside, right? Because it really almost brainwashed all of us who then has been executives around Eastern Europe around it. And I kind of took it by the core. So, I was green when I was in Vite and in Mobile Free. But of course, I have taken it to the next level, and red is a good color. And yes, of course, you're in freaking -20, -10 in the winter. I have never understood that dressing in black, dark colors in the winter. So color at least brings you a bit of life there. So yeah, I think color is good. I think the older you get, the better the color looks on you. So I don't think it's going to get less than that in that sense, right? But now the kids want to dress in red. Everyone want to be a wise guy. It's distinctive, right?
Yeah, of course. And how do you see the close future? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting you to predict the future, especially on the virus situation. That's not my question. My question is more like, how do you see your close future as an organization? What are the next steps, the next accomplishments to go for, next plans, KPIs, whatever you may define?
Well, we need to win the CSA award for best C accelerator this year. That's on the certain plans. That I think is we in a way we kind of say last year we defined the 2023 strategy last year. One of the reasons is we can probably invest in around 40-45 companies in our core region, Baltics, Ukraine, Turkey, and a bit of CE, right? But we cannot invest 80 companies, so we needed to expand a bit the geographical scope. That was the reason why we wanted to go to Balkans, which has been in our eye for a long time. I think now it's tipping in a way in terms of developments. It's probably like the Baltics were 7-8 years ago. So we see a long ride and bigger in terms of the pool size.
Yeah.
And putting it with Italy. So we see that as a very clear opportunity. And the next one is sustainability and impact. So we always about having an impact, measuring both an ecosystem development, which you have seen, but also in the amount of people that is employed by our portfolio, which is something that we can measure. But we see that, and even the topics like sustainability, so EdTech, energy, smart cities, agrotech, as one of the verticals, probably our next vertical that we want to invest, and that we're very aligned. We just had yesterday the OPA. After the hacker crisis, we took teams for those hackathons, and we have been working with them for 2.5 weeks. I remember a lot of my people saying, we love working with the startups, but some of the topics that we're touching were so close to our hearts and things that matters for us even. So not only funders matter, but the topics that we're working about matters, and that makes it even more reasonable, right? So I think we need to work on that one. And then our aspiration is probably having 30-40 million under management just to keep investing. Right? So our only aspiration is keep doing more of what we're doing right now. We want to keep being an early stage accelerator. Many people has gone into less intensive programs, kind of being more of just an investor, not the case. We want to keep working on the diamonds on the rough, preparing them to work in the mine. We get those diamonds and we get them out. Just having enough money to keep the journey with them if we need to. But I think that's what we want to be. And I said, if you want our vision is a top 3 accelerator in the world within 3 years. Is Y Combinator, and then 2, 3 or 4 more between Techstars, 500 startups, Rockstar, us, Bootcamp. I don't think they want to be in that category. So we want to be top 3. And how do you measure is different things. For sure, the reference in Europe, that without a doubt, and impacting no less than 600 startups in total portfolio in the next 3 years, right? But impact sustainability.
So. Yeah, it's a very clear goal and vision that you're following. So,
well, that's what we're teaching people. I think if you have a clear purpose and you have an ambitious goal, you might get there 90%, 110%. But if it gets very clear, every year you obviously understand that one, and then you make sure that when tactical decisions come along, they're driven by your core values, and you can never go wrong there, right? So you still might have tactical opportunities to go to a specific country. The question is that aligned with your long-term vision, purpose, and core values? And that's the reason to do it, right? And we don't want to be more than 50 people on top of that, because we think that's the biggest number we can achieve sustaining the culture that we have, which is very special. So it comes with even a productivity goal, but it's more related because of the culture, right? So we never want to be more than 50 people. That means that we need to break one of the lines of business into second one. But I think we can, for sure, we can achieve those objectives without being more than 50 people. More than that, entering Africa or something like that, okay, probably we have to do something else, right? But that's a clear goal in our side.
Wow, that's very, very nice. I mean, I think that, I'm not specifically talking about accelerators, but I think there are not too many companies out there who have such a clear purpose and vision and numbers and frames and everything to be decided. So it sounds exciting. And finally, do you have any kind of message or advice or whatever for founders, entrepreneurs out there who are watching this video now? Anything that you would like to share with them?
Yeah, I was doing a fuck up nights last week, right? And on top of that, we're writing this book about from the sexy truth for startup success, right? So we say three things. One is get a clear purpose and choose your founders based on core values. So to me, that will never change. If you do that, I think you are ready for a much tougher ride, and entrepreneurship will be a tougher ride. I think there is never a better moment than now. So don't wait for anything. And right now, even with the crisis, I think it's perfect because you have way less to lose. By the time you're ready for real funding, the market will be back on the funding part, because probably within 2 to 3 years, the numbers will be back. There is also a lot of dry power, so money available in European VCs to invest it. So if you're good, money is not going to be there. There might be more talent than ever to be hired. And the disruption that is coming from the digitalization that COVID is creating, I said, educate in things that matter, right? Education, food, agrotech, delivery, environment, energy. I think there is so many topics right now that need a disruption. So we say, trust your guts, find a good purpose, something that is a strong why you want to do it. So you really want to do it internally, your heart speaks about it. Choose your founders based on core values, not just skills. And then don't wait for anybody to push you or pat you in the back, but just go and do it, right? Execute. There is no perfect decision. The only perfect decision is to make many of them, make mistakes, learn, and do many again, right? So to me, execution beats strategy and eat it for breakfast. So I will always go for that.
That's a great advice. Thank you so much. And well, it's been a great pleasure, just like always, talking to you, this time virtually. I hope we can see each other in person soon. And a very last question. If anyone wants to talk to you, first of all, what's the best way to reach you, and what are the topics that people should find you for?
Yeah. Well, best way is all folk. So email, I love email still, but LinkedIn messages as well. So email is very simple, elpatron@startupwiseguys.com. So you don't even need to know how to spell my name, which probably you will do wrong. I think the topics, I will advise one thing to people, which I always do in networking. Never reach me to ask for something, right? Reach me to create a relationship, and that will lead to something. So I don't like to say, I don't even know you. Can you help me with an introduction? I said, who the fuck are you? So build relationships. If you want, I always accept an invitation on LinkedIn. They tell me why. And of course, I know you need something, you're an entrepreneur, etc. And I'm very willing to help you with our organization, our resources. But reach to me to build a relationship. And then we will build it. And then we will help each other. And this is not a tick for tack. I will help people because I know those people will help other people. And then we'll make the network in Central Eastern Europe a much richer one. So reach me by email, build a relationship, and if I can help you, I will help you. There is one thing that I will say to people, I always respond. I might respond no, but I always respond. I will never let you hanging because I think that's the minimum I can do to respect the effort that you're making. And be persistent. Understand no is no, get feedback and be persistent, and run to me the next time when I come into town for a conference to talk to me. Have a good memory still for my age. So, persistent with education is also a great value. Right?
You've been complaining about age so much. How old are you, if I may ask?
I'm 46. So I'm 46. I feel good, but when you are
you look much younger, actually. You look
that's the flying.
You
see, this is why you need to fly too much.
Yeah.
No, I think smiling, and understand. I lost a kid. I lost my first kid 2 months when she was born. And I think it teaches you lessons about, there is few things that really matter, and the rest we just make them big problems, right? So when you relativize things, I think you do. But I think smiling is powerful. People is powerful. No, I feel great. To tell you the truth, in age-wise, I think I feel very wise for my age. No, but I think it is amazing when you have the opportunity to work with 20-something, 30-something people. It gives you a lot of energy. You can pass to them the experience, and I think that combination brings so much energy to yourself also. So I think, of course, something is genetics, but a lot is the environment in which we're surrounded is a great environment to keep ourselves young and energized. and giving back. And if you're doing the right reason, it always feels great, despite that always there is tough moments, but that's fine. They will pass.
I was already trying to say goodbye, but another important question popped up. So sorry, man, but I have to ask this question.
That's fine. We're here.
Sometimes it just pops up my mind. Sometimes it just pops up my mind. This specific question. How many unread emails do you have at the moment?
Unread emails, almost none. Almost none.
Really?
I would say. Yeah. I think there is some emails about some city conference or the account with game score to Las Vegas, whatever, right? It's like I actually read it, but I just don't click on it, right? But I would say emails from people that personal, professional emails directed to me, unread, zero. I actually have I don't have this zero inbox policy that people do, but I actually have, when I fly, I have dedicated flights that I do to go through the inbox from last week, because sometimes you read in diagonal. So I read everything. I always reply to people. I try to even right away say, hey, I will revert. So quickly, at least I set up the expectations when it's a long email or something that I need to read. I actually don't believe in, Pomodoro, these things work for some people. For me, it works respond quickly, address the issue quickly, and only there are big things to think about. Just say, revert, I will get back to 24 hours. I would say the AI from Google, who always sends you, hey, you haven't replied to this email from 5 days ago, only sends me 3 or 4 emails a day, right? So I guess, but I think that creates a huge productivity drive when you're able to reply quickly to everybody. And I finish so that, think you care about what people is doing, right? So yeah, I'm WhatsApp, so you give me a WhatsApp Messenger, and I still switch off my phone. And I still, when I go to cook, for example, dinner, I switch off the phone for 2 hours. When I'm having dinner, I hit the phones on the table. So I still put very clear rules on the engagement with it. But if not, I reply rather quickly almost all the time.
It's impressive. I mean, that's not something too many people can achieve, especially, I guess a lot of people are trying to reach out to you. And you're also handling your email address pretty openly, right? So it's not hard to find you, as you also mentioned.
No, but I think people, most people is very respectful. And the ones who don't, you just basically say, no, thank you, that's it, right? Even in LinkedIn, the 19th Ukrainian India company offering you software services, you say, no, thank you. Again, some of it is my energy and drive is there, and that's natural, I think. But also is that this is a feeling that if you do it very quickly and you tackle very quickly, making a lot of decisions. So you can make a lot of decisions on the email all the time. The only rule that I have imposed to myself in the last, as my team grows, is when there is an email addressed to me as somebody in my team, I always give 24 hours for my team member to reply, so they don't feel an overruling or on top of things that just for them. And then if in 24 hours they haven't been able to reply, then I reply myself. So that's the only that I control myself. So don't reply, Cristobal. Don't reply. This is an email to Gita or to Sane or to Doug or to Jone or to Lone, right? So I control my impulse to reply right away. But I think it creates actually an amazing flow of productivity.
Nice. Well, I could easily go on with more questions, but I think it's really time to stop because it's gonna get too long. But we will find time. We'll find
time. Happy to do the next one after the summer. Hopefully, as I said, we will meet each other over wine in Budapest and in one of the Central Eastern Europeans. Super happy that you guys took the decision to bring the Baltics into the CE. We will support you to start applying. Being part of a lot of the Baltic teams get the opportunity to be in the finals and some of them to win the awards, and also helping the environment and the ecosystems to grow. I think again, we're the next land of unicorns, centaurs, and talent more than anybody else in the world. We just on a roll. It's just a matter of a stronger collaboration and less competition. More openness will help all of us build a very powerful machine. And the role models of the future. Entrepreneurs are the role models of society in Central Eastern Europe, nobody else. And I think we need to have a huge duty and impact. And you and me, I think, are in that very much driven by the same legacy to help creating those things.
Great. El Patron, thank you so much for your time. And
thank you.
Talk to you soon, hopefully.
Enjoy. Bye. Ciao.
You too. Bye-bye.